All right, so tonight we're going to be diving into some real-life New Year's Eve horror stories.
Ooh, spooky.
Yeah, you know the kind that make you double-check your locks.
Yeah.
And maybe think twice about that late-night drive home.
Right.
You know, you specifically asked for stories from Mr. Nightmare's YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
And let me tell you, he did not disappoint with 3 disturbing, true New Year's Eve horror stories.
I love that channel.
Yeah, it's pretty good, right?
It's so good.
So it's interesting, though, like, why are we drawn to these stories, especially around the holidays? You know?
Well, you're a big true crime fan.
Oh, huge.
So maybe there's like a connection there. Like
Yeah.
maybe it's our brain's way of like prepping for potential threats.
Right.
Even if it's just through these like fictional scenarios.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or maybe it's the contrast, you know?
Okay.
The juxtaposition of celebration and fear that makes these stories so compelling.
Right, because we're all, you know, gathered around feeling safe and festive.
Yeah.
And then, bam, a reminder that things can go wrong even when we least expect it.
Right. And it's like that article that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
About how our brains are wired to remember those negative events, those threats, more vividly.
Right.
It's a survival mechanism.
Totally. So, okay, let's jump into this first story. This one takes place on a dark, snowy road in Ohio.
Ooh, okay.
You know, the kind of setting that's practically begging for a spooky encounter.
Yeah.
Our protagonist is a college student heading home after a delayed flight.
Okay.
He's already feeling down because, get this, he's a die-hard Cleveland Browns fan.
Oh, no, a Browns fan on New Year's Eve.
Can you imagine?
Oh, especially if it was like that game against Pittsburgh a few years back.
Oh my God.
One that went into overtime. Can you imagine the heartbreak driving home after that?
Just brutal.
Oh.
All right, so he's driving alone with only his golden retriever, Vera, for company.
Oh.
It's late, it's freezing, the snow's coming down hard. He pulls over to let Vera out for a quick bathroom break.
And of course, he chooses like a small clearing,
Yeah.
surrounded by thick woods. Classic horror movie setup.
Right, you can practically hear the ominous music starting.
Dun, dun, dun.
So Vera's doing her business.
Yeah.
Everything's quiet. You know, just the gentle crunching of snow underfoot.
And that quiet, almost peaceful setting just makes the sudden intrusion of that noise even more jarring, right?
Absolutely. He describes it as this loud crashing, like someone just barreling through the woods.
Well, instantly your heart rate goes up.
Yeah.
What is that? Where is it? That's where the fear starts to creep in.
Yeah, and Vera, who's usually a calm and obedient dog, just bolts into the woods.
Oh, no.
Disappears into the darkness.
Now, I don't know about you, but if my dog took off like that, I'd be terrified.
I'd be right behind her.
Yeah.
But remember, this guy's already on edge from the delayed flight, the Browns losing, and now this. He's calling for Vera, but there's no answer.
Oh, God.
So he grabs his phone as a flashlight and plunges into the woods after her.
See, I don't know. Would you have ventured into those dark woods, especially with those strange noises?
That's a tough call. Part of me wants to say yes, but honestly, I don't know. What about you?
I'd like to think so, but realistically, maybe not.
Right.
Anyway, back to the story.
Okay, so he's stumbling through the dark, calling Vera's name, you know, heart pounding in his chest. And finally, he finds her, but she's not her usual playful self.
Okay.
She's crouched low, shivering tail tucked between her legs.
Well, that's never a good sign.
And that's when he sees it, a fresh cut on Vera's shoulder.
Oh, my God.
Someone or something hurt her.
Okay, that's a game changer.
Right.
We've gone from unsettling noises to like a real tangible threat.
Right now, it's not just about finding Vera. It's about getting out of those woods as fast as possible.
Right.
They rush back to the car, and just as he's about to drive off, he glances back at the woods.
Oh, no, don't tell me he sees something.
He does 3 figures standing at the tree line just watching them.
Oh, my God, chills, literally chills.
I know.
Were they the ones making the noise?
Right.
Did they hurt Vera? What were they waiting for?
He doesn't stick around to find out. He peels out of there. And it's only miles down the road that he realizes the cut on Vera's shoulder is a stab wound.
Stabber?
A stab wound.
Wow, that takes this story to a whole new level of disturbing.
I know, right? He patches her up as best he can.
Yeah.
But the image of those figures in the woods, that stays with him.
Yeah.
And to this day, he has no idea who or what they were.
That's what makes it truly terrifying, right?
Yeah.
The not knowing. And it makes you wonder, was it just a random act of cruelty? Or were they watching him waiting for something?
It's just so creepy.
I know.
I get chills just thinking about it. Really makes you think, right, about how quickly things can turn dark,
Yeah.
even on a night that's supposed to be about celebration.
Totally. And it's like a reminder that even when we think we're safe,
Yeah.
there's always that element of the unknown out there.
Right.
And that's a theme we see play out again in our next story. This one takes us to a snowy highway in Pennsylvania.
Ooh. Okay, this one's a classic, like, wrong place, wrong time situation.
Yeah.
A snowstorm, a stranded driver, and a seemingly helpful snowplow driver.
Speaking of snowstorms, remember that blizzard a few years back?
Oh, yeah?
The one that shut down the entire city?
The one where everyone was stuck inside for days?
Exactly. Now imagine being stuck on a deserted highway during that storm all alone.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly what happens to our protagonist in this story.
Oh.
She's on her way to her parents' house for New Year's Eve, excited to celebrate with family.
It starts out so hopeful, so innocent.
Right, but then the snow starts coming down.
Oh.
And it's not just like a light dusting, it's a full-blown blizzard.
Wow, that sense of isolation, that loss of control.
Yeah.
It's almost immediate. You're trapped at the mercy of the elements.
And her car, like a little compact, just can't handle the snow. She's stuck on a remote stretch of highway visibility is near zero.
That's like the perfect setup for a horror story.
Oh, yeah?
You're vulnerable, you're alone, and help is nowhere in sight.
But then just when the tension is building, headlights appear in the rearview mirror. Snowplow pulls up behind her, and you can feel that like initial wave of relief.
Right.
Finally someone to help.
But it's that initial sense of relief that makes the subsequent events even more terrifying. You know,
Totally.
Your guard is down, you're grateful for the help,
Yeah.
and then slowly those subtle details start to chip away at that sense of safety.
Exactly. The driver, an older guy with a gruff voice, seems friendly enough at first,
Okay.
but as they start driving, she notices some things that just feel off.
Like what?
Well, for starters, there are empty liquor bottles rolling around the cab.
Ooh, not a great sign.
Not a great sign, right?
Right.
Especially when you rely on this person to get you to safety.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she sees a glimpse of a knife wedged between the seats.
Okay, yeah. Now we're entering red flag territory.
And to top it all off,
No.
they're not going the right way.
Oh, no.
She gave him clear directions to her parents' house, but he's ignoring her navigation app and taking these weird detours, heading deeper into unfamiliar territory.
It's that classic horror movie trope, you know?
Yeah.
The deviation from the plan.
Right.
It reinforces that feeling of being trapped at the mercy of someone with unknown intentions.
Right.
What's he doing? Where is he taking her?
And when she questions him about the route, he just brushes it off, saying they're taking back roads because the highway's bad.
Yeah.
She knows something's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, her heart is racing. Her gut is screaming at her to get out of that truck.
And you, as the listener, you're right there with her.
Oh, yeah.
You're feeling that same sense of dread, that urge to yell, "Get out of the truck!"
And that's exactly what she does.
Oh, wow.
She spots a house in the distance, her only chance at escape.
Okay.
And in a moment of pure adrenaline, she throws open the door and jumps out of the moving snowplow.
She's a brave soul.
Oh, my
A
God.
desperate act.
Yeah,
But you can't blame her. It highlights like the instinct to survive,
right.
even when faced with incredible danger.
She lands hard, injures her leg, but she doesn't stop.
Oh my God.
She runs through the snow, the driver yelling after her towards that house, that beacon of hope.
She's running on pure adrenaline at this point.
Yeah.
Pain, fear, it all takes a backseat to survival.
She's banging on the door, screaming for help. And thankfully, someone answers. They take her in and call the police, and she's safe.
What a close call.
I know.
But it leaves you wondering, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About the driver, his intentions?
Right.
Was he just a confused old man? Or
Right.
was something more sinister at play?
We never get a definitive answer, which makes it all the more unsettling.
Right, and it really underscores the importance of trusting your gut.
Yes.
Had she ignored that feeling, that unease,
Yeah.
who knows what might have happened?
Okay, so we've had 2 stories now, both involving solo travelers facing unexpected threats.
Right,
But our final story takes a slightly different approach.
okay.
It's about a group of friends, a long-standing tradition, and a chilling betrayal of trust.
Ooh, a group setting can actually amplify the horror. You know?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because now you're not just worried about your own safety, but also the well-being of your friends.
Well, that's a good point.
And that betrayal of trust, it cuts even deeper.
This story takes us to a remote lake in Ontario, where a group of friends is continuing their annual New Year's Eve ice fishing tradition.
Okay.
It's something they've done for years, a way to honor their late friend and enjoy the peace and quiet of nature.
You know, it's interesting how they chose ice fishing.
Yeah.
It's such a tranquil activity.
Right.
So different from the usual New Year's Eve parties and celebrations.
I think that contrast makes the horror even more impactful.
Totally.
You have this peaceful setting, this sense of camaraderie,
Right.
and then bam, violence erupts.
It's a stark reminder that danger can lurk anywhere, even in the most unexpected places. It really is a stark reminder, isn't it?
It is.
That danger can lurk anywhere,
Yeah.
even in those unexpected places.
So they arrive at their usual spot, unpack their gear, and are getting ready to settle in for the night.
Okay.
And that's when they notice a man standing nearby,
Uh,
bundled up in winter gear, just watching them.
and again, we have those subtle details
I know, right?
that raise those red flags, you know?
Yeah.
Something about the man's demeanor, the way he's watching them,
Right.
just feels off.
And one of the friends even comments on it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this guy's kind of creeping me out.
Yeah.
But before they can really react, the man runs towards them,
Oh, no.
frantic and desperate,
Okay.
claiming his friend has fallen through the ice.
It's a classic manipulation tactic.
Oh, yeah.
Prey on people's empathy.
Right.
Their willingness to help, especially in an emergency situation.
Right. And it works.
Wow.
Their instincts tell them something's wrong.
Yeah.
But the urgency of the situation overrides their caution.
Right.
They drop everything and follow the man towards the lake, eager to help.
They're good people. They're trying to do the right thing.
Right.
And that's what makes the betrayal so much worse.
Because as they get closer to the lake, two more men appear.
Oh, no.
Armed and waiting, they've been led into a trap.
Wow, that moment of realization must be terrifying. The feeling of betrayal combined with the sudden threat of violence.
Right.
It's a truly horrific scenario.
They're surrounded, outnumbered, and completely outmatched.
Oh my God.
The robbers demand their keys, wallets, phones, everything they have.
It's a violation on multiple levels.
Yeah.
They're robbed not only of their possessions,
Right.
but also of their sense of security and trust.
To make matters worse, the robbers are never caught.
Oh, wow.
The friends are left to deal with the emotional aftermath.
Right?
And that lingering question, why target them
Yeah.
in such a remote location on New Year's Eve?
It really underscores the randomness of such events, doesn't it?
It does.
It could happen to anyone, anywhere.
Yeah.
And that realization is perhaps the most unsettling aspect of it all.
So we've heard some pretty chilling stories tonight, each one highlighting a different kind of fear.
Right.
From encounters with the unknown in the Ohio woods,
Yeah.
to a terrifying ride with a stranger in Pennsylvania, to the chilling betrayal of trust on that frozen Ontario lake.
And, you know, these stories are unsettling, for sure.
They are.
But they also serve as important reminders, don't they?
Yes.
About the importance of trusting our instincts, being aware of our surroundings,
Right.
and having a plan.
You know, listening to these stories has really got me thinking, like, what would I do in those situations? You know?
Right.
How do you balance staying aware without letting fear take over your life?
It's a delicate balance, for sure.
It is.
It's not about living in constant paranoia,
Mm.
but rather about cultivating a healthy sense of awareness
Okay.
and trusting those gut feelings
Yeah.
that often guide us towards safety.
And maybe it's about being prepared, too.
Totally.
You know, having a plan, even a simple one, can make a big difference, like in that snowstorm story.
Yeah.
What if she hadn't had her phone?
Right.
Or what if her phone hadn't had service?
Absolutely. Having a backup plan, some resources at hand,
Right,
it can really give you a sense of control in a scary situation.
for sure.
And it's not just about physical preparedness either. Mental preparedness is equally important.
What do you mean by that?
Well, knowing how to stay calm under pressure,
Right.
how to assess a situation and make quick decisions.
Yeah.
Those skills can be life-saving.
Mhm.
It's about shifting the narrative from being a passive victim
Yeah,
to becoming an active participant in your own safety.
that's a powerful way to put it.
It really is.
It's about reclaiming that agency, that power to choose your own well-being.
Exactly. And sometimes it's as simple as trusting your gut.
Right.
If something feels off, if a person or a situation makes you uncomfortable,
Yeah.
it's okay to remove yourself from that situation.
You don't have to be polite. You don't have to explain yourself.
Yay.
Your safety comes first.
Always.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground tonight.
We have.
We've delved into the darkness, explored those chilling moments that can turn a celebratory night into a nightmare.
Right.
But I think the takeaway here is not to let fear paralyze us,
Right.
but to use these stories as a springboard for thoughtful reflection.
I agree.
What steps can we take to feel empowered? How can we be more aware and prepared for the unexpected?
Because even in the midst of celebration, it's important to stay vigilant,
Yes.
to trust our instincts, and to protect ourselves and each other.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the darker side of New Year's Eve,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this question. What precautions do you take when venturing into unfamiliar territory
Ooh, good question.
or interacting with strangers, especially during the holidays when we tend to let our guard down a bit?
It's a question worth pondering.
It is.
Because sometimes the most unsettling stories are the
Yeah.
ones that remind us to appreciate the moments of joy and connection even more.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And remember, stay curious, stay safe,
Yes.
and have a happy and uneventful New Year.